The Cardinals pulled the trigger on their first deal ahead of the trade deadline, and it includes sending a fan favorite to the Dodgers. This is Locked On Cardinals.
You are Locked On Cardinals, your daily St. Louis Cardinals podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey there, Cardinals fans. I'm J.D. Hafford, and I'm a national radio sports anchor, born and raised in the Lou, and a lifetime Cardinals fan. And I'm your host for Locked On Cardinals, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, covering your team every day. You can follow me on Twitter X at JD Sports Radio. You can follow the podcast at LO_Cardinals. I do want to thank those of you who make Locked On Cardinals your first listen every day. We're free and available wherever you get your podcasts. We're also on YouTube. Make sure you come by, like, subscribe, comment if you like what you're hearing. Be one of those people that interacts with us. We get a lot of feedback on the YouTube. You can be a part of that and hit that notification button so you know when the new episodes are posted. This is a show serving Cardinal Nation and giving the best fans in baseball all of the info about the birds on the bat. Today's episode brought to you by SupplyHouse. SupplyHouse.com is the reliable way to get parts fast. Shop for your next plumbing, HVAC, or electrical job and get fast shipping from coast to coast at SupplyHouse.com. So the Cardinals and president of baseball operations, John Mozeliak, made their first big move ahead of the trade deadline. It wasn't their only move because they just DFA'd Giovanni Gallegos the other day, but their first big trade. Trade deadline coming up on Tuesday, 6 p.m. Eastern, 5 o'clock St. Louis time. And this is a deal that most people have been giving positive reviews about in favor of the Cardinals. They were able to upgrade their starting rotation. They snagged the right-handed hitting outfield bat that they were looking for, but it did cost them one of the most popular guys on the team over the past few years in infielder, outfielder Tommy Edman. So here are the final trade details. The Cardinals receive right-handed pitcher Erick Fedde, and outfielder Tommy Pham, and cash from the White Sox, and a player to be named later or cash from the Dodgers. The Dodgers receive right-handed relief pitcher Michael Kopech from the White Sox, infielder, outfielder Tommy Edman, and right-handed pitcher prospect Oliver Gonzalez from the Cardinals, 17 years old, by the way. He was down in rookie ball still. White Sox get infielder, outfielder Miguel Vargas, and they also land the number 17 and number 23 prospects from the Dodgers, plus a player to be named later or cash from the Dodgers. So a lot of pieces to this particular deal. And to break this down on the Cardinals side of things, they essentially traded Tommy Edman and a low-level prospect in Gonzalez in exchange for Erick Fedde and Tommy Pham. That's really what we're looking at here. Players to be named later, cash, whatever. That's essentially what you're going to see on the field, right? Is Erick Fedde and Tommy Pham right away. So why trade Tommy Edman? Like, where did this come from all of a sudden, right? Because it's not something that a lot of people have talked about. Not until this weekend, when you started hearing reports that the Dodgers were interested in Tommy Edman, did we all start to think about, oh, well, I did not realize he was available to trade. So let's start here. Why trade Tommy Edman? Now, of course, we all love Tommy. Tommy Two-Backs. Been a big part of this franchise for the past 6 years. A lot of great memories. One of my favorite ones was when I was in the car with my wife, who's a Reds fan, and he hit the walk-off home run against them. That was awesome because her face was just like, I hate you guys. Gold Glove winner at second base. Played outstanding defense at shortstop and center field last year. Very good speed, switch hitter, but the wrist injury this offseason, it didn't do him any favors because it allowed the Cardinals to see what life would be like without him. And those results weren't so bad. In his place, you saw the ascension of Michael Ciani in center field, who, by the way, is a rookie, okay? We forget that. 25 years old, yes, a little bit older for a rookie, but he's not like a 29-year-old veteran out there who costs a couple of $1 million. We're talking about a rookie center fielder who's playing at a Gold Glove level and makes less than $1 million. So you got his ascension. You got Mason Wynn holding it down at shortstop. That was a thing that they weren't totally sure if Mason was going to be able to do it. It's part of the reason why Brandon Crawford was here. But those were Tommy Edman's two main spots. They were going to be shortstop and center field. Center field was where they expected him to start. So the the need for Tommy Edman, when you look at things, became less and less. Now, we've been saying all along that if and when Tommy came back, what was the role going to be? Because you weren't going to bench Michael Ciani. You're not going to bench Brendan Donovan or Alec Burleson or Lars Nootbaar. You aren't benching Mason Wynn or Nolan Gorman on the infield. Now, you can start him versus lefties, but his everyday spot, which was, again, going to be starting center fielder before the wrist surgery stuff went down, that has diminished. Like, he has lost that spot. It is Michael Ciani's spot in center field more times than not. He's earned it. So I kept bringing up that there's going to be a numbers crunch that's going to happen at some point or another. They had to move someone eventually. I just figured it was going to be Dylan Carlson. And like recently, I've been bringing up that maybe Lars Nootbaar is somebody that might be on the block. As much as the franchise loves him, the fans love him, but you need help in other areas. The reason I hadn't brought Tommy Edman up in trade discussions previously was because of the injuries. He still hasn't played in the field yet during any of his rehab starts, at least not that I'm aware of, unless he snuck an inning or two in there. He's been strictly a DH. He had the ankle problems to go along with the wrist injury that has slowed him down dramatically during his rehab assignments. So this was surprising to me that someone actually wanted Tommy Edman right now, as opposed to waiting until the offseason, which is when I thought if Tommy Edman was going to be on the move, if things had shifted enough where they were like, all right, now he's expendable, I thought it would be the offseason. I did not think it was going to be at the trade deadline. He's also set to make $9.5 million next year, which is the final year of his current contract, which is pretty expensive for someone who doesn't have a defined starting role on this roster and may not play every day. And it's going to be 30 next May. The Cardinals, they wanted to upgrade the rotation first and foremost. That's not been a secret. When you were hearing stories around the nation from national writers and stuff, it was more about starting pitchers than it was anything else. They didn't want payroll to go up significantly. No big contracts. We learned that from John Denton's report recently, which explains why they weren't really in on Zach Eflin from the Rays. That's why he wasn't a fit, because next year he's going to make $18 million. Cardinals didn't want to do that. The reports are that Mo said that the Cardinals and the White Sox had agreed on an Edman for Erick Fedde trade, but that Mo wanted Tommy Pham, which is how the Dodgers ended up getting involved later on. So what we're going to do next is crunch the numbers for Fedde and Pham, and then we're going to share with you some of the reactions from national writers and how they feel about the trade that the Cardinals just made. Three-way trade, once again, with the Dodgers and the White Sox. They seem to love it. A lot of people seem to love it. Some fans aren't on board completely, and that's understandable. They've got some mixed emotions, but we're going to get into all of it. Very busy show here on Locked On Cardinals. Remember the first day of school or the first day at a new job, and you'd be wearing your brand new outfit that you picked out the night before, you laid it out, or you ironed it and you had it hanging right there on the door, and you just knew you would feel your best when you put it on and you walk through the doors for the first time. You can get that instant confidence boost again with our friends from Stitch Fix. And Stitch Fix is going to do you a solid and give you a stylist to help you out. They take in consideration your style, your size, your budget, and then they're going to do the shopping for you. They're going to pick out clothes, shirts, pants, shoes. They're going to do all of it for you. You can order things when you want and how you want with no subscription required. I know we're getting to the back end of summer, which means fall's going to be coming up quicker than you think. I mean, NFL camps are underway and stuff. It's going to be here. So you're going to want to have some new outfits, a little update to the wardrobe for the fall. And if you don't love something, you can just send it back to Stitch Fix. If they get you something and you're like, I don't know if that's me, it's okay. Shipping, returns, and exchanges are always free. Style that makes you feel as you look. That's what they do at Stitch Fix. Now's the best time to get started at stitchfix.com/MLB and get $100 off. That's $25 off your first 4 fixes for a limited time only. That's stitchfix.com/MLB for $100 off. Stitchfix.com/MLB must redeem within 7 days of sign up. Offer does not include kids fixes. Are you watching Fox Sports or ESPN on your TV all day and have to turn down the volume because of all the shouting? Then make the switch to Locked On Sports today, a free 24/7 sports streaming channel program for you every day to bring you the biggest stories without all the screaming. It's streaming 24/7 on YouTube and or the free Amazon Fire TV channels app, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Remember, you can catch every pitch of the Cardinals' hometown broadcast with SiriusXM. Just download the SXM app and search the word Cardinals. They're currently taking on the Rangers at the time that I'm doing this. It is 3-2 Rangers. Some soft contact against Palante driving us nuts. Like, so annoying. All right. Let's get back to the trades. Let's talk about Erick Fedde and Tommy Pham. Now, one is someone who used to play with the Cardinals, right? Fans know him. Most people respect him, while others continue to. I don't know why I keep seeing this online, but they continue to describe him as a cancer for whatever reason. Now, the other one is the main piece of this deal, and some fans are asking, who is this guy? Who is Erick Fedde? Why are the Cardinals after him? Why am I losing my Tommy Edman to get a guy known as Erick Fedde? Is he even an upgrade over what we have already? What is this guy? So, for those of you who think that he's not all that good and isn't much of an upgrade of what we got already, the reason is because you probably did this, right? You saw that Erick Fedde got traded to the Cardinals. You Googled Erick Fedde. You looked at his career numbers, and you went, and gasped at what you saw. And this isn't me poking fun at you for doing that. It's a normal reaction because until this year, Erick Fedde was not a very good major league pitcher. He just wasn't. First round pick by the Nationals in 2014, 18th overall out of college, UNLV. He had Tommy John surgery that May of 2014 when he was taken in the first round. Made it to the big leagues in 2017. And from there until 2022, his career numbers were not good. 21-33, 5.41 ERA, ERA plus of 77, 7 strikeouts per 9, almost 4 walks per 9, a FIP of 5.17, WHIP of 1.523. In layman's terms, he wasn't very good. He wasn't. And there's no shame in saying that because he wasn't. So he goes to Korea last year. Got like minor league offers from teams, didn't like it, was like, I'm better than this. I can be better. Goes to Korea last year. He adds a sweeper, which we know is the pitch that the Cardinals love, right? It's become the cool thing, the cool trend for pitchers in baseball this year. Throw 100, also have a sweeper, and you're almost unhittable. He also learned to control his changeup better. And maybe most importantly, something that he's talked about is he built up some confidence again. After having bad years in Washington, he built up some confidence once again, goes over to Korea, and he wins the KBO version of the Cy Young and MVP awards. He goes 20-6 with 209 strikeouts and 180 and 1/3 innings with an ERA of 2 and a WHIP of 0.954. The strikeouts, they're up big time. The walks, shoo, they go down big time. At age 31, after this huge season in Korea, he signs a 2-year deal with the White Sox for $7.5 million per year. And then this year, he's got a 7-4 record, which I know doesn't sound great, but you got to remember, he's on the White Sox, who have been a very bad team. 7-4 record, 3.11 ERA, which is top 20 in baseball, not just the AL, top 20 in baseball. Has the second highest pitching WAR in baseball behind Tarek Skubal at 4.6. Skubal is 5.3. 4.6 for Erick Fedde. Opponents are hitting .227 against him, which has him tied with the Braves' Max Fried for 20th best in the league. And he's better than guys like our very own Sonny Gray, George Kirby, who's a stud with the Mariners. Another stud with the Mariners, Luis Castillo. How about the Cubs rookie phenom, Shota Imanaga? He's better than them with opponent batting average against. His whip, 1.14, tied for 16th best in Major League Baseball, ahead of other notables like Zach Eflin, Freddie Peralta from the Brewers, Framber Valdez from Houston, Kevin Gausman from the Blue Jays. What he did in the KBO has translated into success here in the major leagues and made him one of the more sought-after pitchers available at the trade deadline. The Cardinals did not trade for the guy he was 2 years ago. They did not trade for the Washington Nationals version of Erick Fedde. The Cardinals just traded for the guy that you've seen this year and the guy that threw last year overseas. And the Cardinals are also getting him with 1 year remaining on his deal. This is not a contract that ends at the end of this season. You get him for another year. And on top of that, I'll give you another reason why it's good. To get the production that the White Sox were getting for Erick Fedde, which you assume will come over to the Cardinals and it'll be just as good. To get the production Fedde is giving you, but only costing $7.5 million, is an absolute steal of a deal. You're getting a top 20 pitcher in Major League Baseball for $7.5 million. That does not happen very often. Mo said this about the deal to the media. We went into our deadline approach where we could find someone we felt could help our rotation and someone that could get a start in October should we make it. That was something we were very interested in, and also someone who would be around for next year. That's what they were targeting. That's what they've gotten in Erick Fedde. Now, will the results that he had with the White Sox translate over to the Cardinals? You're hoping so. You're hoping so. New league, new place you're playing in, new city, all of that. So we'll see what happens. Then there's Tommy Pham. Now, the former Cardinal, who is now 36 years old, but is still in tremendous shape and is as committed and as determined as ever to be the best player he can be for himself and his team. We all know Tommy has got some attitude to him, right? Like, he's got attitude. He brings it onto the field with him. I'm not talking about in the clubhouse. I'm talking about on the field. Kind of like Wilson Contreras-ish. That's what it reminds me of a little bit. You know, he oozes confidence, you know. And the Cardinals don't have a ton of that from their players. You know, a lot of the guys on this team, like Goldie and Arenado, are kind of chill. You know, you'll see Arenado pop off once in a while, but a lot of the guys are pretty chill. Where, you know, Wilson, you can see him getting worked up and stuff. Tommy Pham will do that. Mason Wynn has shown a little bit of that. He's intense. He plays with a purpose. This is his job. This is business for him when he walks in between those white lines. He doesn't take it lightly. The idea that he's a bad clubhouse guy has been something that's followed him around for a while now, and it's been debunked by multiple teams. In fact, most of them, after he's gone, speak out and say how much they loved the guy and how big of a difference he was, like a difference maker in the clubhouse, and how good he was with the players and for the players. Jeff Jones from the Belleville News even tweeted out that manager Ali Marmol, talking about the deal today, said multiple players have come to him in the last few weeks requesting Tommy Pham as an addition by name. Clubhouse, he says, is fired up to have him back. So what can Tommy Pham bring? Tommy Pham can play all three outfield positions, still a solid hitter, but it's his ability to do damage against left-handers that will come in handy for the Cardinals. That's why they wanted him. Along with who he is, personality-wise, it's because he can hit lefties. He's got an 848 OPS against them and a split OPS plus of 137 this year. He hits them very, very well. Ali also said this about Pham. We didn't just get a right-handed bat. We got a guy that lives and dies for winning baseball games. That's who he is. And him walking through those doors is going to be very meaningful. Matt Carpenter talking about this. Says Tommy is tied for first on the list of the hardest workers I've ever played with. You can never have too many of those guys. We are super pumped. And I know you've heard the story probably about him slapping Jock Peterson over fantasy football stuff. Jock Peterson was not on his team when that happened. So it wasn't like it was doing something to his own clubhouse. He didn't slap his own player. And yeah, he talked about in the offseason that he signed with the White Sox because they gave him the most money. So what? Players do that all the time. Tommy Pham's just not afraid to say it. He's like, yeah, they gave me the most money, so I went there. But he's never been accused of loafing or quitting. No matter how bad things got in Chicago, have you heard one single bad thing about Tommy Pham? The only thing that's popped up this year is when he was upset about the tag that was put on him with Wilson Contreras' brother in Milwaukee. That's about it. He wasn't happy that he got sent on that play. Didn't like how things went out. And when he's out at home plate, and he spoke up about it. Players, managers, coaches, they love him for who he is. Just because he doesn't run around with a stupid grin on his face the whole game doesn't mean he's a bad guy. If it was the case, teams wouldn't keep trading for him at the trade deadline each year. They would let him rot somewhere else. Personally, I believe this is a win for the Cardinals. I think they did well. You trade a guy who has had no impact on your roster this year, no impact on this team this year. You don't give up any significant prospects, and you get arguably the top right-handed starting pitcher that's available at the trade deadline. Like, sure, you can argue Jack Flaherty, Zach Eflin. You can argue about these guys, but there were a lot of people that thought Fedde was the top guy that was genuinely going to get traded. There's people who thought other guys were going to get moved. I mean, you can talk about Max Scherzer if you want to. I mean, there were names out there, but Fedde was the one that everybody knew was going to get moved, probably like 99.9% chance. And a lot of people were after him. And the Cardinals pulled this off, and they got Tommy Pham to help with their platooning issues in the outfield against left-handed pitchers. And you don't lose anything from your current roster or any significant prospects. I mean, I feel like that's a win. Yeah, it sucks losing Tommy Edman because we like Tommy Edman. Sure, he could have been a cool asset for this team, but he's still hurt. Like, we don't even know what he's going to be able to do for the Dodgers this year. And with 1 year remaining, we don't know what player is going to be on the field later on because of that wrist injury. We don't know. We know what we got in Erick Fedde. We know what you get in Tommy Pham. I think it's a win. Not everybody agrees with me, and that's fine. We can all have our opinions, but don't just take my word for it. We're going to go, and I'm going to read you a couple of opinions, grades, if you will, from The Athletic, from some other media members, and let you know what they have to say about it. I'll tell you what their grades were about this trade. That's coming up next on Locked On Cardinals. Order supplies from the website that's made for the skilled trades. Find thousands of parts from hundreds of brands in just a couple clicks at SupplyHouse.com. SupplyHouse.com gives you 24/7 access to a huge selection of plumbing, HVAC, and electrical supplies with fast delivery anywhere in the United States. Need help with an order? Get industry-leading after-sales service from their friendly and knowledgeable customer support team and talk to a real person every time. Something that doesn't happen all that often anymore when you call places asking for help. It's constantly hitting buttons, trying to get through the recordings to get to a human, where here you get to talk to a real person every time. And there's great news for plumbers, technicians, and contractors. Being a pro has its perks. Trade industry professionals can join their free TradeMaster program for free shipping and serious discounts on every order. Over 100,000 pros already trust the TradeMaster program to deliver results. You can apply for your membership today and get a competitive edge on every order at SupplyHouse.com/TM. Save money and time when you order online. Order plumbing, HVAC, and electrical supplies From SupplyHouse.com, real people, real service. Thank you for making Locked On Cardinals your first listen every day. For your second listen, enjoy the Locked On MLB podcast. Host Paul Sullivan, a.k.a. Sully, is here daily to provide national expertise with his trademark humor to help you get ready for the MLB playoffs here in the dog days of summer. Prepare for the Fall Classic with Sully, who has it all covered every single day on Locked On MLB, available on YouTube or wherever you get your podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. So reactions from fans have been mostly positive. As I mentioned, I posted a poll on, I just wanted people to grade the deal. In their opinion, A, B, C, D, or F. I think I put D and F together because you can only give 4 of them on X. And 68.2% of the vote graded it as an A for the Cardinals. You had 23% as a B, 3.5% as a C, and 5.3% as a DF. But what are the national writers saying and reporters saying? You can hear me talk about it, and you can say, "Oh, whatever. He roots for the Cardinals, so he's obviously going to say it's good." What are national writers saying? So went over to The Athletic, where they had kind of like a roundtable discussion about what they graded this deal, how they felt it worked out for all 3 teams involved. So Andy McCullough says this about the deal itself. With the Cardinals in the thick of the wildcard race, Fedde will improve their rotation. He also should benefit from a change of scenery. It cannot have been easy to maintain optimism while playing for the White Sox this season. The same calculus applies to Pham, who played a crucial role for the Diamondbacks last postseason. Pham is most productive as a platoon player. He can wallop left-handed pitching. It will be interesting to see the perspective he brings about his return to St. Louis. He was unhappy with his treatment by the organization before being traded to Tampa Bay in 2018. Now, if you remember back then, Pham was pissed off that he didn't feel like he got a fair shake, that the Cardinals didn't give him a fair chance to be a starter and be able to prove what he could do, because he was a late bloomer. Remember, he had those eye issues and he had to get that off, worked out. And he got traded, let everybody know what he was upset about, and has moved on to have a great career. STLtoday.com's Ben Fredrickson tweeted earlier today that Pham actually showed up in Jupiter, Florida at Roger Dean Stadium, home of the Cardinals and the Marlins, in the spring to make the point that he wanted to be with the Cardinals this year. He went down there. And the Cardinals were like, well, I mean, we're kind of jam-packed in the outfield right now. I mean, it's not that we don't like you. It's just that we don't have a lot of room for you. You got to remember, Jordan Walker was still a part of this team at that time. There was a lot of people, a lot of different people to put out there in the outfield, not a left position. So I assume everything is good there if Tommy went down to Jupiter to speak with the Cardinals personally. But as far as the grade goes, Andy gave the Cardinals an A-, the Dodgers a B+, and the Sox a B. Rustin Dodd says the Cardinals get the services of Fedde for the season and next, and Pham for the stretch run, while only giving up Edman and Gonzalez. Fedde might not be this good. His FIP is 3.76, but if you're the Cardinals, you might have done a straight Fedde for Edman swap, which, when Mo talked to the media, they had been agreed upon already, but he wanted Pham. He wanted more. And so Rustin says, in that way, it feels like a win. Cardinals get an A-, Dodgers a B, Sox a B. And then there's Brittany Garoli, who says, I see virtually no downside here from the Cardinals' perspective. Fedde has been on the Cardinals' radar for quite a while, and his ascent from someone who couldn't get a big league job to being a hot commodity coming out of the KBO has been impressive. Fedde has been a revelation with Chicago, and while he isn't going to wow you with his stuff, he is a reliable starter and gives St. Louis exactly what it wanted, rotation depth, without taking on significant extra salary. Pham figures to platoon against left-handed starters, and both additions make the Cardinals a better team on paper than they were this morning. Shedding Edman's salary helps cover for Fedde, and while the Dodgers desperately need Edman's versatility to plug some infield holes, St. Louis has a trio of other options in Ciani, Donovan, and Burleson. Cardinals, another A-, Dodgers a B, Sox get a C+. So all of that, to me, means that the Cardinals won this trade. On paper, obviously, we don't know until they get out on the field and how the Cardinals end up reacting to all of this. Right now, things not going well as they're losing 6-2 now against the Rangers. The bullpen is not doing well, which is what I hope they go after before Tuesday's deadline, because they need help in the bullpen. They do. They just can't continue to put these guys out there, these guys at the very back of the bullpen, and expect things to go well. So they need an upgrade there. Also, how about our enemies? Their thoughts on this particular trade. Our own Locked On Cubs host, Sam Olber, hit me up with one word about rating the trade, and he said, cheating. And I said, okay, tell me what you feel about the trade. What do you mean? And he said, the White Sox are incompetent. You guys got a number 2 starter for your rotation and a right-handed bat you need for Tommy Edman, and the Sox got nothing? Todd Walter from Locked On White Sox text me, congratulations on fleecing the White Sox. My buddy who works in Nashville. Wait, it's not Nashville. Where does he work? Knoxville. Sorry, not Nashville. Knoxville, Tennessee. But he's been a Sox fan his whole life from the Chicago area. Said, good trade for the Cardinals. Fedde was great for the Sox. His numbers should be much better. If he was on a better team. Pitch like a number 2. His ERA on a good team would be so much lower. His FIP says otherwise. But still, this is a guy who watches this team day in, day out, every day. I respect his opinion. He thinks very highly of what Erick Fedde did with the White Sox. Will the Cardinals do more at the deadline on Tuesday, or at least before it? We shall see. I'm hoping so. Again, the relief pitching is where they need some help. Obviously, we keep saying it. The cracks are showing in the bullpen. You know, Chris Roycroft, he ain't it. He ain't it right now. He looked good the first few times he came out of the pen. Does not look good anymore. He's not it. He's not it. Will Kyle Leahy be somebody who could be used? We'll find out. But they need an upgrade. I think we all know that. I think Mo knows that. There's been talks online that Dylan Carlson's being shopped, the Angels, and it was the Guardians for a little bit, but they traded for Lane Thomas. So Angels and Nationals could be interested in acquiring Dylan Carlson. Maybe you can pick up a reliever with a trade involving him. We'll find out. But I don't know what you're going to get in return. Like, what is Dylan Carlson's worth to these other teams anymore? Like, you're selling low on Dylan Carlson, which is unfortunate considering what his ceiling was once in this organization. So anyway, that's what we got for you. Leave all your comments, your suggestions, your hates, your likes, everything that you got. Bring it to us on YouTube. We're going to go through them for tomorrow's show. And thank you for making Locked On Cardinals your first listen every day. If you haven't already, please give us a follow on Twitter, X at @LO_Cardinals and at JD Sports Radio. Like, subscribe, and comment on YouTube. Help our channel and love for the Cardinals grow. You guys are the best fans in baseball for a reason, and I'll see you next time on Locked On Cardinals.